Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship heads into its final doubleheader round at Shannonville Motorsport Park. ODH Snow City Kawasaki rider David MacKay leads Blackstock Motorsport Yamaha rider Matthew Simpson by just 16 points. Who will come out on top and earn the prestigious #1 plate? Race number 8 is next. Hello everyone, Frank Wood alongside Colin Fraser as we get set for the final round of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship. Round 4 saw Elliot Vieira win Ducati's first ever pro sport bike race. He'll be looking to reach the top of the box here again in round 5. Colin, let's have a look at our starting grid.
If you're wondering who might be playing spoiler in this championship battle, Brad McCrae has to be #1 contestant with his Yamaha. Look at that, Francis Martin back for his second round, and he has lots of success here at Shannonville Motorsport Park as a factory Suzuki rider. Looking at the rest of our grid, you can see Marco Souza, who's had a very, very strong privateer season and was very fast last time out at CTMP. And there we have Samuel Guerin and Trevor Dion both dropping in from Superbike on their Kawasaki's. Will they start? Don't know. And possible new Pro Twins champ Andrew Van Winkle looking for some solid points today.
And Colin, here we are again back at Shannonville Motorsport Park, but a different racetrack.
Different in as much as it uses every one of the turns that are available. This is a popular layout in the mid-2000s. We haven't raced a national here since 2005 with new paving, very similar times as the past.
Let's check in with our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said.
Thanks, guys. Well, Race 2 Shannonville winner Brad McCrae's championship hopes are mathematically over. He could still pose a great threat to 2 contenders, points leader David MacKay and Matt Simpson. MacKay and Simpson will start 2nd and 3rd on the grid for the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike race as McCrae paced the 2 leaders in qualifying here at Shannonville. Because of the qualification results, MacKay will increase his lead by 1 point to a gap of 17. Simpson, on the other hand, remains around 0.2 seconds off the pace entering race 8 and still in the championship mix. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Riders are on the grid now, and they are under starters' orders. Our starter now hopping over the fence, and we will soon be looking at the Apex Cycle starting lights. Starting procedure is lights are on. When the lights are off, they have gone off. The field has launched. They're coming towards us now, and I think it's MacKay. Yes, it is David MacKay. Possible, well, he is the points leader. He gained an extra point. Now he's leading Matt Simpson by 17 points coming into this one. And MacKay is showing his intentions very early, Colin.
The trend at Mosport was MacKay got the whole shot every time, and there you can see Tremblay shopping on Simpson. Simpson, of course, can't afford to get bogged down in traffic. But what I wanted to say is MacKay has made it clear he is not going to be elbows out. He doesn't need to ride that way. But when you get the start, that makes it so much easier to plan your strategy. And right now, Simpson has to not panic because he just dropped to 4th. And McCrae is the guy we're watching. Remember, here in the spring, on mostly the same track, McCrae was very impressive.
McCrae running in 3rd spot now, right in behind the shaker Sebastian Tremblay on that new GSXR 750, and right in behind him is Ducati's Elliot Vieira.
Yeah, and also in there was Francis Martin, who hasn't won a race yet this year, but certainly is capable of it. And this is an amazing field, Frank, where almost everybody in the top 10 can legitimately say they could win the race if it breaks their way. Weirdly, the guy leading the race right now probably doesn't mind if he wins it or not.
And it looks like Vieira's up to his old tricks of wide lines there. We watched him going in there, a very wide line indeed. And watch for John Lang, the Cochrane, Alberta rider on the 707 rider. I think he's down in about 5th or 6th right now, but you can bet that he will be charged up after scoring his first national championship win at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a few weeks back.
On board with Sebastian Tremblay, and now is the time to say this is the debut, the first time down a long straight of the GSXR 750 with the Generation 2 rules. It has to meet the same 125 horsepower limitation, but of course fundamentally an engine with more torque, and this is the first race ever that this bike is legal in the series to compete. Tremblay already up to second, and remember, he won last time out on a 600 GSXR.
Well said. McKay coming into Ellen's corner there had the back wheel right up in the air, so you can say what you want about managing this race, but McKay is definitely hard on the gas.
And when you talk about managing a race, an important event just occurred. He picked up the bonus for leading a lap, and that's going to make all the difference in terms of his mental calculations. So now, a lot less pressure for McKay. He is almost a race in hand. Simpson is faded to 5th, and Simpson has to get organized in a hurry, because the problem here, we've seen this over and over, Tremblay doesn't look all that fast, but he gets behind the leader, and suddenly the gap opens right up.
Well, the other thing is, too, Simpson running in 5th spot. That's Francis Martin running in 6th spot, and John Lang, of course, on the 707 holding on to 7th spot. It was Martin coming into this race said, I've got some unfinished business. He was talking about Mosport.
Yeah, Martin was fantastic and so much fun to watch at Mosport. I was commenting to him the other day that I think he could probably close his eyes and ride this track. He's done so many laps on this version, and at one point, you know, this was the most popular version of any road course in Canada, and we raced on this 15-turn long track more often than not. Here comes Tremblay.
Tremblay right to the inside. The Shaker is taking the lead, but for how long? As McKay is right with him. They were overlapping wheels coming out of that final corner. Now they're heading down the Fabi straightaway. This is the highest velocity they will reach on this racetrack.
Here we are on board with Tremblay, and nice and easy. Two of the least aggressive passers in the series. Tremblay lines it up nice and easy, and I got to tell you, Frank, McKay left the door open there. He wasn't going to cut him off, and see, what McKay wants to do is not slow everybody down. He wants to find a space, hopefully on the podium portion of the roster, but McCrae is going to be there, because McCrae has shown himself to be not the greatest starter, but once he gets rolling, he has terrific pace, and he on and off this year has been the pace setter. Remember, we've got McKay, who was the champion-elect before we ever started the series, but McCrae really was the guy everybody was talking about 4 months ago here at Shannonville.
And as Sebastien Tremblay leads over David MacKay, we'll be right back. Portions of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship are brought to you in part by Joe Rocket, Economy Lube and Tire, and Importation Thibault. Closed captioning of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship is brought to you in part by Suron Canada, EBC Brakes and Clutches, Apex Cycle, and MotorcycleCourse.com. Back at Shannonville Motorsport Park, and we are working lap number 3 of a 12-lap national championship race. And Colin, the racers in this race are faced with a different challenge on this day.
Yeah, typically Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike races right in the middle of the program, and therefore the light is never an issue. Here we're very, very late in the program, and shadows are a real tricky thing when you're trying to gauge your pickups and your entries. And we had 2 starts for this race at the conventional time. Neither of them went well, and it got pushed to the very back of the schedule. So these guys are racing way later in the day, and you can't help but feel for McKay and Simpson, because there's enough pressure on those guys without 4 hours in the paddock wondering when they were going to get to race. And there was a chance they would race twice on Sunday, but I think overall this is going to work better as we go on board, and someone is shopping with McKay, and it's McCrae.
McKay and McCrae. No announcer is going to get mixed up with that. Meanwhile, Turcotte Performance's Sebastien Tremblay seems to have some serious distance here now as McCrae is moving in at Allen's corner. Oh, I thought he was going to stuff it on the inside there, but he thought better of it. A little early for that. That may come later.
And I got to say, it was lovely to go on board with McCrae for a while, because it really gave us a chance to see McCrae's riding style, because he is textbook in the way he handles that motorcycle. He is an absolute instruction manual on how to position your body, and he makes it look slow. Of course, not as good as Tremblay, who makes it unbelievably slow, but you're right, McCrae is getting antsy, and he's tightening up his line, which is sometimes a worry, but you know what's going on here? Right now, McCrae on that fluorescent yellow bike, he can see Tremblay getting away, and he doesn't want to have to build that bridge if he doesn't have to, but you got to be careful not to get offline, because like here we are on the new pavement, and you have a fair bit of choice on your line, but you get to other parts of the track, and you have to be very careful where you place the motorcycle.
Do not give up on Matt Simpson either. He is staying distinctly with Elliot Vieira. As a matter of fact, I got a sneaking suspicion Simpson might have something for him very soon. But I think likewise McCrae on McKay. McCrae has got to break loose of McKay if he's going to catch up to Sebastian Tremblay. And look, now he's taken the line to do it. No, not quite. As McKay slams the door on McCrae this time around, he can't get it done.
Yeah, and I think we have to be clear. He's not slamming the door at all. That is a style, and that definitely happens. He's not doing it right now. He is leaving the door wide open. Why is that? He doesn't want any contact. He doesn't want any chance of a tumble, and he also doesn't want to lose lap time. So if you can legitimately pass McKay, he will let you go, but he wants to keep the next position. He doesn't want to fall far from the podium. As long as he's in front of Simpson, and of course he knows physically there's only one rider in front of him, and that's Tremblay.
Right.
His pit board will back that up, but he has everything going for him right now.
And it's only one rider that can beat him to the championship, and that also is Matt Simpson on that black stock Yamaha R6. And again, he is staying right with that Ducati of Elliot Vieira, and that thing's got a lot of grunt coming out of the corners. You'll notice Vieira, they see him there, he's searching for traction on the front straightaway.
Yeah, as usual, Vieira doesn't seem 100% sure what that motorcycle likes, right? And what it's capable of.
Oh, McCrae, beautiful pass. Man, did he ever telegraph that one?
Well, that was a dive bomb, and that's the kind of pass you really can't do much. And I'm sure right about now, McKay's saying, perfect, okay,
yeah.
Got that over with. There's no contact. Look at that little wheelie on a 600 coming out of turn 3, and look at how late he commits. Like, honestly, I thought at this point McCrae had decided not to, and as you can see, that the onboard really showed all the different pavements you have to negotiate while you're braking in this area of the track. Really clean pass, and as I said, McKay's got to be thrilled that there was no drama to that.
Yeah, no kidding, and he took a very tight line going into turn number 2, so he did. So the top 3 now have spread out quite a bit. The battle, I should say, between Simpson and Vieira continues, but fans, don't go away. We'll be right back on TSN. Back now at Shannonville Motorsport Park for race number 8, the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike race. And Colin, as we look over the top 5 riders, where is Simpson?
So Simpson had an issue breaking off the back straight. You know he is at maximum attack. He has nothing to lose. He's braking as hard as he can. He ran wide, lost a couple of spots because you have to take the runoff road on the drag strip. So that has really hurt him in the standings. And you can bet McKay saw that on his pit board and went, okay, this is playing my way. Because right now McKay, I don't think he's in a position to clinch, but he's really close, almost a race in hand. But of course right now McKay's trying to hold on to a podium.
Well, before this race we had a chance to sit down and talk to David MacKay, and he knows exactly what his situation is.
In the past, I've finished twice the last 2 years. I've finished second in the championship, so I know what the feeling is going into the last round. I was in Matt's position last year. I was the one going into the round in second place, down a handful of points, and there wasn't pressure on me because it wasn't my championship to lose. I did everything I could. I had a good round, but unfortunately things didn't go my way. And this year I'm in the fortunate position of being in first going into the last round. So there's a little more pressure. It is, I'm leading the championship. At this point it's mine to lose, and I need to consider that when going into the race. It's not a win it or bin it kind of weekend. It's play it smart, strategize, and get your hands on the championship.
Talking about getting your hands on the championship, McKay has raced against all the greats in this series, dating very far back.
Vieira passed him on the back straightaway, calling that Ducati horsepower is gobble him up.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, okay with McKay. He understands his situation. He knows that there has been some opportunities due to Simpson's struggles on the back straight, actually coming off the back straight. Vieira uses the torque of the Ducati to pick up the drive, and that's the advantage of that 955cc Desmo V-twin. It is very good at putting the power down from the low speed.
Meanwhile, things have really heated up at the point here, Colin, as suddenly Sebastian Tremblay finds he has company, and it is the very quick, the fast qualifier. McCrae is right on his tail.
But I want to point out, we've been watching fairly easy passes on David MacKay. We don't have an easy pass here. The guy leading right now is not giving it up. Now the guy leading here is easy to pass because you can see where the door's open, but the door is open just about a millimeter at best. And we saw last time out at Mosport, Vieira dogged Tremblay the entire way and could not make a pass work. No one takes the pressure better than Tremblay.
Coming out of turn 5 into turn number 6 right now. We watched them going through 4, that long carousel, and again the long left-hander presented before current turn number 7. Now they've got a short shoot, a short straightaway down to turn number 8. We'll see whether McCrae's got something here. Has he indeed? Yes, we are on board, but no, Sebastian says not this time.
Turn 8 is a tough one because of all the different bits of pavement. Sometimes a move right here, you pull over to the right and try and dive bomb onto the hairpin.
Yep.
He didn't try that time. I would say that Tremblay covered that line just enough to see that he was aware of the pass. And look at this.
Wow.
And by the way, this is interesting. McCrae has a fast Yamaha, but there's the benefit of the torque of the GSXR. It's
well
not day and night, but you can see, and it makes life just slightly less difficult for Tremblay having that little bit of mid-range.
I don't doubt that McCrae's getting a little frustrated with that as he's getting ready to make a move, and all of a sudden he finds there is no room to make a move. Either Sebastian has made himself too much of a target to get past, or indeed he's just accelerated away from it.
And look at this transition. Tremblay does not rush the throttle. Why? There's no need to. There's no way for McCrae to get under him. And that allows Tremblay to get the perfect drive onto the front straight. So Tremblay slower he can be and very fast, particularly on his entrances, to make it really difficult for McCrae to see an obvious opening. And McCrae is shopping, and he's done some great shopping already this race. But again, this is a whole different world to try to pick off Tremblay. Tremblay is dead set on winning this race. He's won championship.
Oh, down goes McCrae! Oh my God, what happened there? Man, oh man, McCrae got fly swatted onto the surface, and he is now, what can you say?
Yeah, and that's the
disaster.
second time at Shannonville this year when, well, I mean, last time he was leading, but watch here. I think he decides to tighten up his lead, his line, and maybe decides there's an opportunity. He crosses the transition, and it's not a lot, but when you're riding at the absolute limit, and that's what those guys do. Watch the back end. Tire spins, he almost catches it, and unfortunately, when you fall that way, it really throws you into the ground. That was a tough crash, and McCrae was really looking like he had something for Tremblay as he now moves that modified Yamaha out of the crash zone.
Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Portions of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship are brought to you in part by Joe Rocket, Economy Lube and Tire, and Importation Thibault. We are back at Shannonville Motorsport Park. We are working lap number 10 of the 12-lap National Championship race. Sebastian Tremblay still with the lead. Elliot Vieira running in second spot. David MacKay in third. And Colin, bring us home on this one.
Well, I think the big issue is McCrae isn't pushing the pace anymore, but that doesn't make any difference because Tremblay got so far out ahead that it's not a big deal. You got to think that for MacKay now, he's back into podium contention. Out of all these storylines, Frank, I think Vieira has again illustrated if he'd had a start, and I don't mean a great start, just a reasonable start in the top 3 or 4, he has the pace to win these things, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get comfortable on the bike. And I don't know if I can say yet, even when he won at Mosport on Saturday, that he truly looked comfortable.
I feel obliged to mention, Colin, that Elliot Vieira is in the process of passing one of our Bickle Racing Pro Twins riders. That is Hans van Sluwen on the number 8 Suzuki SV650.
Yeah, we've had some serious attrition in the Pro Twins division. It's a development class this year. Had a few different winners and a chance for a 16-year-old rookie pro twin racer who was just in the Mini Cup last year.
Right.
Might be the guy who makes it from British Columbia.
Andrew Van Winkle.
Yes, if that were to happen, I think that's a storyline everybody's excited about. We haven't seen much of Andrew in this race because it's been pretty exciting at the front. And there's a good shot of that, in my opinion, fairly stiffly sprung Ducati as it transitions on the mostly new pavement out here in the middle of the 15-turn course.
I was going to comment they were bouncing around a bit. There is Andrew Van Winkle, as a matter of fact, on the number 45 bike. And Sarah said has more.
Thanks, guys. Andrew Van Winkle is very close to potentially making history. The 16-year-old has the chance to become the youngest pro champion in Bridgestone CSBK history with a win this weekend. All Van Winkle will need to do is finish both races and he'll be crowned the inaugural champion in the Bickle Racing Pro Twins class as he tries to overtake injured points leader Jeff Williams for the championship. Back to you guys.
We've had so many impressive young up-and-coming racers in so many different classes, a number of them from the West, and Van Winkle has certainly joined that list, and we're going to be fascinated to see where he goes next year.
Well, we are working lap number 11 of 12, of course. Next time they come across the start-finish line, they'll get that blue and white diagonal flag that'll indicate that we have one more circulation of this racetrack, and this national championship race will go on the books.
And it certainly looks like Vieira has trimmed it back just a little bit. No pressure from MacKay. You can see lots of lean from that Ducati in a very tight turn. Picking it up on the throttle there, you can see that last lap flag being held up. And I'm afraid I don't have much drama to inject at this point, Frank.
No, there's not much drama happening on the racetrack. That is a certainty. Maybe we'll go on board with somebody for a moment. But right now, we're watching our race leader, Sebastian Tremblay. I was going to comment earlier, Colin, you know, of all the racers on this starting grid today, no one has a well as deep as his. His file to draw from is impressive.
Well, last year he raced Superbike and had a good season. I honestly think he maybe took on more tasks than he should because he was helping so many other competitors in the paddock. He had a major hand, for instance, in Trevor Dion winning this championship in this class. Of course, Dion has gone on to Superbike. So definitely a stalwart of the entire series, has had his hands in so many of the front-running, mostly Kawasaki motorcycles. He was going to sit out the season, came to help out at the opening round. Suddenly he's a Suzuki rider.
Surprised the heck out of a lot of people I know, and getting comments for him at that first round. He commented, I asked him, what the heck are you doing with a wrench in your hand? He says, don't worry, I'll be back. And sure enough, he's back.
And it's interesting to see he had a GSXR 600. The 600 and the 750 versions of these bikes are almost identical. You can see Tremblay took a good look back. Didn't want any surprises. There are no surprises, but then Tremblay basically had a 600 that was perfect, that had just won, and still committed to riding the 750 for the last two races of the year. Means that next year, things are not looking good for anybody else in Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike race, because Tremblay at one point was the king of this class, and he definitely has come back with a plan. And I think the plan next year is probably to try and win as many of these races as he can, and I wouldn't bet against him. He's going to be a tough opponent.
We were riding with the king, and now we watch him. He pulls the front wheel across the finish line, and Sebastian Tremblay has won this race for Suzuki.
And that's two Generation 2 bikes at the front, GSXR 750 and a 955 Ducati.
Well said. And that is Sebastian Tremblay's second win in a row, Colin, and 11th career victory for that young man.
Definitely a guy who staked his claim on this class way back when it was a fellow from the East Coast named Don Monroe, and I think we'd all love to see Don Monroe and Seb Tremblay face off because they're such similar racers.
And with David MacKay finishing in third spot, he actually increases his lead over Matt Simpson for the championship, with one race to go.
Looking at our results, there's Tremblay from Vieira, MacKay moving almost into the title. Martin, very strong fourth. We didn't see him much, but a great effort after a long layoff. There you can look at the rest of our top 10. McCrae is the story. Could he have won? Should he have won? Might he have won? Absolutely. We'll see you tomorrow if he will win. When he comes back, I would imagine on his spare bike, and Van Winkle comes close to the title in Pro Twins.
So congratulations on the win. How does it feel?
Thank you. I feel great. This weekend we had a new bike. We just got our GSXR 750 a couple of weeks ago, and we planned on running it on Thursday, but unfortunately there was no Thursday practice, so we went out first practice session and we were really far off on the suspension. I thought it was easier to jump from the 600 to 750, but it was way off. So the race, obviously, I had a great start. Took a lap to get by David MacKay, but I ended up leading the race. Brad McCrae put me a little bit of pressure, but I was able to hold him off until he crashed, unfortunately.
So what were your thoughts like when you were under pressure like that?
Keep my head down, make no mistake, and try to keep a pace where he can make mistakes, and that's what happened.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned, Colin, one race to go. Here's our point standings.
A win is 25 points, so Simpson's going to have an awful lot of things go right tomorrow. Tremblay climbing up to a solid third, even though he missed the opener. You can see Lang in fifth. What an excellent debut in his first year on the trail.
And there is our podium with Sebastian Tremblay winning his second in a row. On behalf of Colin Fraser, myself, and the entire CSBK crew, thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next time.